Dr. Seeley, we're still grappling with this COVID-19 pandemic. And how have prudence, I say the Bible talks about that in Proverbs 8, verse 12, how have the prudence and knowledge we just read about helped you with those difficult conversations you've had to, engage your staff with about maybe cutting staff or cutting salaries? Have you been guided by prudence and knowledge in those difficult conversations?
Yes. At the onset, which was last year, I really do consider my office and all its workers my family. So they are not separate to me. We are a team. I do paint an image of my childhood dream was to fly on a Starship Enterprise, right? So, and on that starship, you can't stop and drop someone off along the way. So, I I do I live in this fantasy land, call it that, of we're on a starship, and that's what advanced dental is. So we're all in this together. So we sit collectively and decide how are we going to survive together, and then we take decisions based on that guiding principle. So I did not cut any staff. I did carry them for what we had to shut down. We had to see only emergency cases, and one emergency case, maximum two per day, couldn't help me, couldn't help the business thrive. So um, then is when I understood, as an aside, the meaning of the term cash flow. Um, I,
Mhm.
I had never had a problem with cash flow before. But getting back on point, so the first 2 months, the business carried itself. The reserves paid everybody's staff and so on, salaries, and then we said, okay, we're gonna have to trim, but we're gonna trim in such a way that everybody got to stay working. So we'll go from 6 days a week to 2 or 3 for for everybody, and the management team. Well, they got full time because we had to keep the heartbeat, keep the patient alive, right? Meaning keep my business going until we were allowed to open back up. Um, but but that's how, as a team, we survived the pandemic, right? Yes, we everybody, there was no cutting of staff.
Wow. Were there any salary cuts? And I'm envisioning this round table conversation you had. Were there salary cuts and were people disappointed or
Yes, there were salary cuts. Not salary. We we then moved to a model where um, you were paid proportionately with your attendance, but everybody was given time on board, right?
oh,
Right. So, um, and we were understanding in that anybody who came to us privately to share situations, we we had to hold their hand. Those who had other support systems, and I think the government even had some support system, give everybody and rent support, right? We factored that in, right? And so we had individual arrangements, shall we say, right?
wow.
But the guiding energy was we all are in this together until we get to come out.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. To have everybody on board together with one mindset. We're in this together. That that is phenomenal, Dr. CB. The places that we don't hear of that. There's always some kind of contention somewhere. So God bless you. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's a passage that says the wisdom of God equips leaders to enact just laws and lead justly. That's one of the verses we read. And in a practical sense, Dr. Seeley, have you relied on the word to establish standards and rules in your practice? Sometimes when people do that, there's a pushback, there's unionization. Oh, Alisa, you're back. I just asked Dr. Seeley, so he'll answer about
nice.
right. Okay, go ahead, Dr.
Sure.
Seeley.
Well, um, I the unions exist, and my opinion of unionization is that it was necessary at a time when oppression was rampant.
Mhm.
But in an environment where oppression does not exist, then the objective of unions, meaning, and I think that is to fight for the people, right? Um, kind of takes a back seat because there is no oppression. The voice of leadership listens to the people, right? So there are things that um, within recent years uh, the management has had to um, embrace about unions and union guidelines. But then, you know, let's say simple example. Um, Everybody's entitled to exactly 1 hour for lunch, right? But in a medical establishment, when an emergency knocks at the door at time to go to lunch, do you tell them sit and wait? The answer is no. Treat everybody as you would like to be treated. You say, what's your pain level? Okay, hold on, come in, right? And we go to it. So sometimes on for my team, I ask them, have you guys had lunch? Look, take turns. You go and have lunch. You go and have lunch because we are guided by the demands of giving care to all,
Wow. And
right?
that takes precedence over, let's say, the 1 hour of work. And
Yes,
that precedence is informed by the word of God and your adherence to biblical principles.
yes. So
Right.
so my entire team understands that. And sometimes I shout all hands on deck when it's really busy,
Mhm.
and there is a movement and energy to the all hands on deck,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I told them
Question.
all. Uh-huh.
You know, I'm very curious. Let me just first ask our guests, just in case, not our guests, sorry, perhaps there may be viewers and so on that want to ask you a question or post a comment or anything, that they could do that in the chat as we go along. Just now there when you spoke about all hands on deck, I don't know if Alicia you saw him. There was the energy. We saw the energy
Yes,
rise.
I did. Yes.
you know,
I.
that
Mhm.
that drives you, doesn't it?
That
Hmm.
That drives you.
yes, yeah,
Wow.
that
So my pain drives you.
no, 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 no. Resolving your pain, treating
Resolving.
you
That's
well
right.
drives me.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Go
Yes.
ahead,
As
Alicia.
Dr. Cindy said,
And it's
care.
not all
Care
about
is
pain. It's
no.
I'm moving this from the imagery that yes, we do have emergencies all the time. So we
Mhm.
schedule spaces in the day and schedule me lightly, but and those spaces are always filled by the emergencies. But trying, that is the energy that we have scheduled patients who we serve, right, do their work. I mean, implants and crown and bridge and fillings, we take our time. We don't rush anybody, right? So say for something as simple as a cleaning, right? You'll have an office. I mean, you can do a cleaning in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but then we schedule 1 hour for everybody so that we do the cleaning slowly, meticulously, because that's how we would like to be treated. So there's a limit to how many we can appoint, because everybody who sits, and yes, that leads to sometimes we run late. So there is a a, a sidebar where if we're running late, we have to inform who we're running late for, right? Because that's how you would like to be treated.
Wow.